This is the Simpit Live. We are here today. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and we are here to talk once again about World's Fastest Gamer. But the reason we're talking about it today is because of a big announcement that came from iRacing and from McLaren in regards to the World's Fastest Gamer coming to iRacing. So when we first talked about World's Fastest Gamer, they talked about it being available on consoles, on the PC, even potentially on phones or tablets. They're very unclear about all the different disciplines of sim racing that it would be available to us for, and we've already seen two competitions happen. The one that I've been covering the most lately has been the R Factor 2 competition, which we'll take a look at that leaderboard one more time because that is an ongoing competition. When we saw the announcement for R Factor 2, it was going to be 4 different weeks, 4 different tracks, qualifying in a hot lap type format, and then finalizing that with the top 20 advancing to the big race, which would then determine the top 5 that would go on to the finals, and so on and so on. That is the R Factor 2 scenario. Today, we're here to talk about the iRacing version, and this announcement makes me very excited. I've had a lot of fun with the R Factor 2 version of the competition, but things are going to be a little different. iRacing is a completely different sim, so that's going to change things right there. The guys who are the best of the best are a little bit different when you look at R Factor 2 versus iRacing, so you're talking about a different crowd as well. In the case of iRacing, they're also going to be running a different format. So, I am going to, Yannick, I will make a slight adjustment to my microphone right now. Thank you for that. Let me, bear with me here a moment as I just crank my microphone up just a little bit, and we'll see if that does better. Sorry about that, and I appreciate your comments on the stream to make sure it's at the best quality possible. So, as we are talking about, switching to iRacing changes things. Obviously, it's a different sim. Gavin, you'll have to let me know if it's now too loud, so we'll see. But what we're doing here is they're actually going to be doing races instead of qualifying. Instead of just that out on your own hot lap time trial type scenario, we are talking about scheduled races against other competition. Now, they have done very little details, so if anybody knows more than me, please chime in. We're all ears. We all want to know. But starting out, September 12th, we are going to be at Suzuka, and for that week, for 5 days. Then we're going to go to the Circuit of America from the 19th through the 25th. From the 26th through the 2nd, we'll be at Monza. We'll then go to Interlagos. So we're all talking about some great tracks here, running in the McLaren MP430. So now we've got DRS in the equation. They did supply a little video, so let's just take a little tease look. So there you go, quite the teaser video. I like watching that. Very well done video, and it really shows off that MP4 rather well. So anyway, one thing that I talk about this competition on a level of competition and winning. One thing we haven't really talked about a whole lot is what's at stake. And when you talk about this, they're saying here your chance to win the greatest job in esports. And it actually goes beyond that, in my opinion. Esports would be winning a job with an esport team, but in this case, you're talking about winning a test driver job for McLaren. Now, when I say test driver, a simulator driver, but you're basically, I mean, potentially this could mean that your job is setting the simulators up for the F1 drivers to come in and prepare for the following week's race. And yeah, I know I really blew you out with that. I'm sorry about that. I should have sound checked that video as well. I apologize for that. But this is a really big deal. And I mean, it's not just whether you have the skills to be in that leaderboard. It's not just the fun of being in the competition and seeing where you rank against the world. But when this is all over and we are going to propel one of our fellow sim racers into the ranks of a real Formula One team with a real job, this potentially is a big deal for sim racing. And when we talk about growing and expanding our market, when we talk about sim racing being accepted as a form of motorsport, this absolutely takes us one step closer, even more than big prize money. I mean, big prize money is great, but you're still winning a gaming competition. Now you're talking about making the leap from sim to real life in terms of at least interacting with the real life team. So that is very cool. So I do think it is more than just the competition and the fun that is involved. So this is a big deal to me and something that I've had a lot of fun. I'm going to finish the final 2 weeks in the R Factor 2. I'm going to do that as well because they've been fun. And in fact, this week I still need to get a better lap time at Zandvoort than what I have. But you can count on me doing all of these as well. I have no setup for the McLaren. That's going to be a tall order. I don't have a lot of lap times in that, but I have one thing going for me. I love Suzuka. I love Circuit of the Americas. Monza, I think, is a fun track, and Interlagos, Jose Carlos Pace is absolutely one of my favorite tracks. So I'm really looking forward to this competition. I do want to answer some of the questions that are coming in from the chat. This is licensed content on iRacing. It is DLC or add-on content, so you will need to buy the McLaren. You will need to buy all 4 of those tracks. None of those are their stock tracks, so that is something that's a factor, and it's a cost factor. You will need to be an iRacing member as well. Steam King, no, I do not have any news on the progress of Snetterton, so same as what you know, that it's been scanned and in development, which can be anything from a short time frame to a very long time frame. Paul, I will look into the audio when I watch the stream later, probably. And yeah, I remember and Willie, you're welcome for the streams. And excellent. Yeah, we're going to continue. These streams, I've talked about it. I want to continue talking on this topic, but as this streaming for me is still a new thing, I want to talk about what my purpose in using the streaming for. I love the news of sim racing, but we can all read it. I mean, shoot, this story was on their Twitter feed. This is the iRacing Twitter feed. It was on their Facebook page. You know, I'm not telling you news that isn't out there. I'm not bringing you a scoop. But what I think is relevant, and as we get more people involved in this, talking and discussing these topics and how they will impact us all as sim racers, how they're going to affect our enjoyment of sim racing overall. And that's, when I think about bringing the news, it's not just bringing the news, but it's bringing the discussion of the news. And I think that's a relevant factor. And there are so many times when people ask questions that go beyond or take the story to another level, or maybe they know things more than I do on it, so they'll come in and give us even more information, hopefully. So that is awesome. And why we're doing it this way. I'll also use the live streams for race videos, obviously. It's fun. People seem to like to watch it. I like to learn from my racing by observing it, and the more pressure I put on myself, the more critical it becomes. That's always fun. Total price buying the car and tracks. You're looking at like 50, 60 bucks. Yeah, there you go. $11.95 per car, $14.95 per track. If you have all the content, you get a discount, and it makes it cheaper. And I've seen memberships as low as $6 a month if you buy it in bulk. So it's not an outrageous amount of cost. And if you haven't tried iRacing and you're a sim racer, I highly recommend at least giving it a try. And this is a great opportunity. Yes, and Gavin, your question about R Factor iRacing. We don't know the other titles, but they've alluded to more than just this. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a whole other round and yet another sim. And even on the cell phone or tablet they've talked about. Darwin, yeah, you getting a system is easier than ever. Getting a PC strong enough with the latest video cards has become very, very easy to get into sim racing right now. Cheaper than ever. Anyway, great pricing there, Steam King. Thank you very much. 3-screen last one. Chetta got me. Excellent, Neil. That's great to hear. Sneddard is an option for the series schedule in each series forum section, so it's probably going to be out next build if they're doing that. Quite possibly, and until we get some news, I can ask them and see if we can bring some information on that topic, though, soon enough. And, yeah, multi-platform, so they're going to do other competitions on potentially the Xbox, the PlayStation, and everything. Hunter, there you go. 70% off on that discount for iRacing. Thank you very much. So if you haven't tried it, you go to iRacing, you sign up, you use that discount code, and it makes it very affordable. And I missed it, but I saw the congrats to Cronky and Hutu, and I think that's Hunter Manley getting a little ahead of all of us, declaring winner, but probably not bad picks there. And so a good guess at who some of those finalists are likely to be. Yeah, oh, that's too bad you can't run because of your rotator cup, so that's a shame as well. So again, the price on this is reasonable. The difference, though, what do you think it's going to be? I mean, we saw hot lapping time trial, so let's check in with that R Factor 2. This is the R Factor 2, the ongoing competition. This is today's standings, and it closes out tonight. So last chance is already, I'm not sure, it might actually already be closed. I might have missed my opportunity to improve my time. Jeffrey Reitveld is sitting in front with a 134.084, 0.2 of a second quicker than Graham Carroll. So we're seeing a little bit more of a gap here on this one. Dawid Mrochek, sorry, in third, Miguel Morales in fourth, and Lee Morris in fifth. So we're seeing entirely new names up on the leaderboard this time around. So that should make for a very cool Arthur says he's 2 spots. So, yeah, I am 209th as of right now. Not quite where I'd like to be. Dom Doohan is just ahead of me, so that makes me feel good. Just between me and Arthur, you are 2 spots ahead of me. Very good. So I would have liked to have improved. Actually, I have the exact same lap time as Dom Doohan. That's very interesting. So that competition has been fun. And I will be moving on to the next round just to see where I do finish overall. My goal was the upper half in last week's competition, and I'm pretty much into the upper third in this week's. But we're seeing a lot fewer competitors, excuse me. But I think that's I think the round 1 was a little humbling. But back to my question. In this case, we're talking about races. We're talking about racing these 4 tracks, and I'm assuming scoring championship points. They haven't told us that just yet, so I don't know. Is it going to be for championship points? Are they going to be single race points? How will the iRating play into your points in this competition versus when I did it in R Factor 2? I was on the same playing field as all of the best of the best. So this is completely different, and that goes beyond just the sim difference. So I'm looking forward to it no matter how it plays out. I can tell you that. That is absolutely for sure. And hello, Taz. Thanks for joining the stream here. We are just talking about the new World's Fastest Gamer competition now moving on to iRacing starting September 12th. So this is big news, and it means that you can compete both on R Factor 2 and on iRacing, and likely more sims in the future as well. So your goal was to beat my time. Well, thank you. Excuse me. Congratulations. You did it, and I think that's part of the reason I put myself out there, is just to give you guys all an extra challenge. So congratulations and well done. And I gave it a good run. I'm not sure if it's closed. I'm going to have to go double check if I can see it. Faster time. I think it's all ended, though, because it's already Friday afternoon. I'm sorry, Thursday afternoon. So, yeah, with iRacing, with the iRating determining splits, which means, and I'm not trying to say good or bad, but it means that someone like me with a 2580 iRating is already at a disadvantage. There's no way with a 2580 80 iRating that I'm going to score enough points to, if it works out like championship points in a series, like I've learned in the Mazda. So if you're not in the right, there is time. Arter, okay, I'm heading back out there. I'm gonna see what I can do. And Tony Kart Racer, hey Tony Kart, I used to race a Tony Kart. I had a Vortec ICC powered Tony Kart back in the day, and I miss it very much. And you are the Senna of iRacing. Well, I'm sure we'll see you on the leaderboard then. So I haven't heard many people chime in on the difference between racing versus time trialing, which I think is a very big difference, a tremendous difference. It changes everything. The hot lapping is a completely different challenge. It means, can you be perfect for one lap? And I say perfect, I mean perfect. Paul, question is, right now they are already doing it in R Factor 2, moving on to iRacing, and we've heard rumor of more, but they've been doing a really good job, and I think this is intentional, of trickling out the news. So right now we still don't know even all the details of the iRacing competition, but the R Factor 2 one still hasn't finished, so this is still advance notice. And what I'm anticipating is we can probably see a repeat of this process probably about 2 races into the iRacing version of it as well. So it is going to be a fun competition. And again, for anybody who's just joining the stream, because I see our numbers have kind of gone up a little bit from when we joined, today's topic, and again, I'm bringing this to you on the Simpit Live because I want it for discussion. This is news that's out there. This is on iRacing's main page. It was on their Twitter feed. It was on their Facebook page. And the news being that the world's fastest gamer competition by McLaren is coming to iRacing. And this means that the winner of this whole competition is going to win, your chance to win, the greatest job in esports. And my twist on it being, it's not an esport job anymore when you're setting up the sims for real-life Formula 1 drivers at McLaren. It is insane what this opportunity could lead to for somebody, and that is a big part of this as well. So that is what we're here talking about, and the competition went on in R Factor 2, and it is still ongoing. A champion has not been declared, and we are moving on to the iRacing phase, and I see some Matthews talking about P-Cars being in it, and that wouldn't be surprising one bit, not at all. I would totally anticipate seeing a Project Cars version of this as well. And for all intents and purposes, with the level of job and the level of prize, I mean, I look at this as bigger than winning most financial prizes outside of the Visa Vegas race prize. Was too much money. That's a career's worth of money for some people. So in this case, though, you're talking about something that has more value than money itself. So this is the biggest prize in sim racing now, for sure. And that is a big deal, and I would see them going on to as many sims as possible to truly, let's hope, let's be fair, let's hope that they use as many disciplines as possible to somehow narrow the field, to then put all these guys against each other to really create or really find the best sim racer from the entire world of sim racing, not just from a sim or another sim. So that actually is something I think is great. I embrace that 100%. So is why World Twitter retweeted a post that said iRacing was a proper simulator. I don't think it was intended for a snub. I think they might, again, getting back to what I was just talking about, Jake, I think that part of what they're talking about is allowing people who don't have access to something like iRacing, and maybe not the equipment it takes to be competitive on iRacing, and making it an opportunity to them. So we talked about Tony Kart Racer, and my Tony Kart was an incredible machine. I could not afford to keep that thing running against the competition level that I was running against, with how finicky and how fast they blew through parts. Racing is an elitist sport, and I don't even feel bad saying that. Racing is an elitist sport, and if you're not wealthy, the odds of becoming a professional racer are slim to none outside of these kind of opportunities. And I'm not saying this leads to that kind of opportunity, but they're capturing what I'm talking about, which is that we can make it available to everybody. So I'm not saying they're going to use Forza, but let's just say they use Forza, or when Gran Turismo used GT Academy as everybody can play GT Academy. So if you have this aptitude and this Senna skills, Tony Kart Racer, it's going to come to the cream rises to the top, and even in Gran Turismo, and it has done it. Look at the guys who've won Gran Turismo and the caliber of drivers in real life they were with or without previous life experience. This is a great way to find. When you narrow it down to somebody, by the time you are the best of the best, there is slim to no chance that you're not going to be fast in real life as well. So this competition, they're making it available to guys beyond just the guys who play just in iRacing, for say. Yes, I'd like to do more Attack the Track, and it has been a very long time since I've done those. And one of the problems with me doing such a wide variety of types of shows is that it takes a while for me to get back to. But that is on my list, and I need to get back to it for sure. And I think next season I'm probably going to pick a harder or faster car to drive and make that a little bit more relevant. So yeah, and again, I can't wait to see them put all of these different disciplined drivers against each other. And will that be multi-format, or will they just pick a sim, or who knows? And that's kind of part of the fun of this World's Fastest Gamer, and I think this topic is going to entertain us for many months to come. And yeah, sim racing is an incredible opportunity. When I first started doing this, it was, I don't want to say the sims were a joke, or the industry or the hobby was a joke. Its acceptance was a joke. Nobody thought of it seriously. And right now, it's coming into that esport gamer thing. But, you know, if you notice, we're clinging on and joining those guys, and that's a whole different thing. But we are taking our own different path as well, which is kind of cool. We are different than gaming. There's no denying that. It is gaming. We're gamers. There's no denying that as well. It's a bigger prize than Vegas. Yeah, Matthew, I agree. It is the top prize in Vegas was guaranteed money. So, like winning the lottery, do you take the payout over time, or you take the guarantee? It was guaranteed money. I mean, you could go to college, you could buy a car, you could put a down payment on the house, whatever. The McLaren thing, it's still vague. I mean, yes. Okay, so let's analyze this. McLaren has become the first Formula One team to enter the esports arena. Is that true? I mean, Formula E is, well, Formula One. Okay. Announcing World's Fastest Gamer, the world's most intense and demanding competition. That is true. I've experienced that firsthand for virtual racers. It's a contest that will see the winner offered the best job in esports, a role with the Formula One team as one of its official simulator drivers. Now, what does that really say, and what does it really mean? I mean, if we wanted to interpret it like people would interpret, say, the Constitution, I don't want to get political, I could read that to mean that I have to move to Woking, Surrey, UK to work at the McLaren factory. That could mean, and they pay me a bunch of money to do it. And it could be an ongoing thing if I'm good at my job. That could be, yeah, you won. Here's a copy of our simulator. You use it at home. You send us setups. Who knows? But I can tell you this, no matter what, when you win, you are talking and shaking hands with the guys at McLaren. You're talking and working with the Formula One drivers, and I don't want to take anything away from it, but it's yet to be determined what the real prize is, and we could all speculate, and we could even speculate, will the winner need to facilitate turning it into a bigger job than maybe what it's written on paper in their mind? Who knows? That's all part of the big mystery here as well. So, catch up with you guys a little bit. No, I'm not going to drive today on the stream, Jacob. I will be doing some driving later for the next round in the R Factor 2 competition. Also, I will be doing my sim racing system Mazda race tomorrow. Unfortunately, I can't make tonight's race. My dog, who's right here by my side, has to go into the doctor today. Nothing serious, but so I won't be able to make that race. Anyway, skill is transferable between... Yes, Jonathan. Jonathan says the driver's skill is transferable between sims. I'm assuming you guys have all seen this, but I agree. But there is a curve or a calibration time. When I went into R Factor 2, it took me at least a week to get to where I felt like I had the full confidence in what I was doing and where I was getting to where I was setting personal best lap times. Felt so much better at week 2 than I did week 1, in other words. And iRacing promote their product. Yeah, that could be a topic of a whole other show one day. And maybe when we don't have news, I don't mind the topic of bringing up topics and making you guys be my guest hosts as far as your opinions on things like that. So I'm not going to take that diversion today, but if I get enough comments or response looking for that kind of stuff, I mean, if there's something you guys would like to discuss like this in an open forum, email me, Sean, SHAUN, at thesimpit.com. And if you email me, I check and respond to every email. So if you put a comment, I don't always get to the comments. It's really hard to keep track of all the videos. Yeah, it won't be a Facebook, I'm sorry, it won't be a fixed setup. I agree, and that's because I think part of the job is having and that's a great point, actually. I hadn't thought about that as I'd been frustrated with setup, but being able to build a setup is kind of part of what the job qualification is. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, Connery. I think that's something that a lot of people haven't thought of, myself included, and you want to add to the mix. I mean, again, when I get back to the topic of how will they utilize this person, well, I can tell you what, if they're a setup guru and they can get these sims set up and dialed in for their drivers, it's going to save them time, and that's a lot cheaper than sim time, and that guy would pay for himself very quickly and probably have a lot of job security, so that is a qualifier. And yes, the market for sim racing is huge, and again, we'll talk more about that one day. Yes, you do have to own the content to compete, Dub. Somebody, if you, I think it was $70 or so. I can't remember the number. I'm following a lot of stuff, but higher in the stream, it is there, and maybe somebody can repeat that number again. Mirko, I did do a Twitch stream. I'm sorry you can't watch this. The difference for me is I have 140 people who know about me on Twitch versus a lot more people here. So that's why I chose YouTube in the end. And in my testing, most people said this actually stream was better, so I'm very sorry this doesn't work for you. Very sorry about that, but yeah, and again, Jonathan, getting back, it'll be interesting to see what they do there with putting them against each other in the end. My brother's here saying hi to the dog who's going to the vet, so he's in the background. Say hi, Greg. Hello. Yeah, so setup, people are talking about the setup, and I agree, this is going to be a big factor of it moving forward, is being able to do that and making it. So there we go, our pricing on our things and our discount. So if you want to join iRacing, I do have a link to this story in the description of this show. So if you're wanting to get into this and you don't have iRacing, you can follow that link, go to memberships, use this code that W. Holshoff put up, PR-McLaren WFG, and you can get a 70% discount on that. And there's the content prices. So it is a little bit of money, but if you haven't tried iRacing, it's well worth trying out at least. And moving into this competition, which again starts September 12th, first race, and it's going to be racing this time, not hot lapping, September 12th, and I will be doing it for sure. I believe they're kind of weird with their details. I do believe these are the race scheduled times each day for each week following that schedule. So that link does have all the information that is out at this point. And I'm sure we'll get more details as they realize that there are questions being asked by the community. So anyway, if you are new to this whole concept, you know, this is a very big deal. Sim racing has been raising the bar as far as prize money, prize pools, recognition in the real life racing world, and this is another giant step. So whether you're interested in competing or whether you're really just into knowing that sim racing is growing, these are the kind of events that are going to give us some rapid growth. And when we even talk about iRacing knowing to promote, well, this honestly is going to be one of the better promotions out there. This is going to get some good legs, and a lot of people are going to know about it. It's going to get some airtime and exposure. So this is a step in the right direction as far as marketing goes as well. And Paul S. says you have a G29 for your first wheel for sim racing, and that's another topic. Equipment. So if you really get down to it, these finals, so McLaren is partnering with iRacing to host a 4-week competition in the McLaren, and where the winner will earn an invitation to the World's Fastest Gamer Finals to be held in November. So that gives you an idea when this whole thing will come to a close at McLaren in the UK. I can guarantee you, because of their sponsors that we saw in this video, I'm going to pull up the video. I can pull up the video real quick. Yeah, I'm not going to play the whole video, but at the end of the video, one of their big sponsors is Logitech with their gaming series of wheels. So you can pretty much guarantee at this point, when you get to the UK as one of those winners invited to be in the finals, you're going to be using a Logitech G29 wheel. So that or a 920, one of the two. I'm assuming a G29 though. So I think, unless we have more questions, I don't really have a lot more to talk about this on, other than my excitement level, other than the fact that the R Factor 2 competition is still ongoing. A little bit time left in round 2 of their 4-round competition. And starting in a few days, we'll begin round 3, which I will be participating as well. And I will do some live streams of that competition. We have the September 12th beginning of iRacing version, the racing instead of time trialing version, starting September 12th at Suzuka, and I will be doing that, and I will be live streaming my races in that, and we'll see how that plays out. I still don't know how the whole points thing is going to play out. It'll be interesting to see. I obviously, as we've seen from my R Factor 2 abilities, if I can get in that upper half, I'll be happy. If I can get in the upper third, I'll be thrilled. I'm not in it to win it, but I do want to see how cutthroat the competition is, and I think it'll lead to some great racing and a lot of fun. So hopefully all of you will turn out for either the R Factor 2 or iRacing or whatever the next sim is. So I hope you'll do it as well. And I see a question in regards to the DD Fanatic wheel. Yes, I have a question. Do you have news in regards to I do know that it's in the works. That's all I know. I don't know any more than what's been released. There is no secret information just yet that I can give you on that wheel. So that it is in the works, and I'm assuming it's going to be a very big deal. I look at the improvements Fanatic has made with the Club Sport line, looking at the V1, the V2, and then the V2.5, and if that is the progression curve they're on, I'm very optimistic for what that wheel will do. So that'll be very interesting. And I'm running a Bodner. It's a great wheel, and it is hard to justify, to be perfectly honest. Money-wise, I don't know if it's worth more than the other wheels. There's no denying that I prefer it and that it's more refined and has a better feeling in a lot of ways. It is not the ends-all, says-all to sim racing wheels just yet, so it's still very, very expensive. And the track in the Vulcan, yeah, I think they're gonna stick to it. That's another thing we didn't talk about, the switch from the GT car to the Formula 1 car, which is an interesting change, and that will be as big a factor for certain drivers as switching from R Factor 2 to iRacing, switching from GT to Formula 1 cars. So that is a big deal. Do I know any other manufacturers? Nobody who is making big news. You know, the who's who of sim racing sims has pretty much been the same. You know, and then you get into the groups that you know, do like mod packages for R Factor 2. You know, Race Room is a viable sim as well. I don't know of anybody new, completely new to the mix on the horizon, though. So, which is a shame. What I'd love to see personally, and this is a topic in its own, is where's Live for Speed? A couple years ago, well, about 5 years ago, it looked like they were about to bring that sim back to life, and it never happened, which is a real shame because it was one of the best, highest potential sims of its time. I will say that for sure. No, next-gen VR headsets. I don't have any official news except for what my logic of the electronics industry tells me. There are 2 times when companies start reducing the prices of products. Number 1 is when their sales start to fall off, which the VR craze happened, and then I'm sure there's a huge fall off in sales, just like many other electronic products. That's one reason they'll lower prices. The other moment in time that they will lower prices is when the next gen is getting ready to be announced, because you definitely want to clear out as much as you can prior to making announcements of your new product, which will completely cut off the sales of your old product. So that is one thing that's going on with something as new as VR, something that's going to have as significant as of upgrades over time as VR will have. So I use cell phones as the example, but if you look at cell phones over a decade, it's amazing the jumps and leaps in resolution and features they were able to cram into a phone. And, you know, a slight raise in price, of course, but not as significant as the changes. So I expect to see VR go on that same kind of curve. Maybe not quite as big because it's not as big a market as the cell phones. So, unfortunately, no new news, but that's something that I am trying to keep a finger on. I've done a lot of VR driving, and I love it, but I am really looking for the next gen to where I would say I'd convert and really start racing that way. But I don't think it'll work out well for the show, which is going to put me in a whole other predicament. What do I do for me versus for on the show, and all of that. And so, anyway, I am going to bring this to an end. I got some other people still talking about some general topics in sim racing. It's great to see you all here. It's great to see some great comments and questions. I appreciate the backup from you guys with pricing and things like that. That's great to see. And congratulations to everybody who has been competing in this world's fastest gamer competition, because if you've turned a lap, it might have been a slap in the face and a humbling experience. So I just, you know, I want to congratulate and pat you on the back, because it is, it's unfair to see that. And if it is also the most extreme leaderboard that you'd ever see. iRacing will be a little bit different with racing versus hot lapping, so it'll be interesting to see how the pressure differences are in that scenario as well. That's another factor that'll come into play. So again, I do have the link to the iRacing.com World's Fastest Gamer page where I found this story. It is on their Twitter feed. It is on their Facebook feed. And the story is all over the place. The R Factor 2 version is still ongoing, so you can stay on top of that. And we will continue to follow both of those stories, as well as some other big news that we have coming. And again, if there are any topics that you'd like us to cover on Simpit Live, whether it be a news story that we should just bring into discussion instead of it just being news, or whether it be a topic that maybe we should just have open discussion with me and the community talking so we can discuss things and really get to the bottom of good topics of sim racing, any of those, please email me at sean@thesimpit.com, and I'll be sure to add them to the scheduled list of topics. So for today, this is the Simpit Live. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.